I'm pretty sure Sabonis and Fox are both 10th.
Let me
Well,
see.
they were last time I looked.
10th, DeMontis. 10th, De'Aaron.
Yeah.
De'Aaron is currently underneath Austin Reeves still.
That's why I don't fucking trust the votes. This is stupid.
And we're live now.
It's like Wiggins is like second in frickin' in the front court.
Yeah, I mean, Wiggins is definitely not supposed
He's only
to be
missed
there.
like fucking 30 games.
Actually, hold up. Wiggins fell down to 5 now.
Oh, really?
He's still above Lowry Markkanen. But he's there. Kevon Looney is 9th in the front court votings. Only 8,000 more
stupid.
votes than Domantas Sabonis.
It's because I haven't been voting.
I voted every day. I actually
I
have
haven't
yet to
voted
vote
at
today.
all.
I'm going to be voting sometime today. But since we're live, welcome in everybody. You know, me and Skippy manning the fort today. Couldn't get Tank to show up. Rip that man. Will we miss him?
If you've heard from him, let him know we're worried about him.
Oh yeah, he's been off the grid. We all know what he's doing. He's probably out there being a tank, shooting at people. You know, the usual tank business. So, to start off today, as you guys may have heard a little bit of conversation, the All-Star votings. So, just for record here, me and Skippy here are both pretty much in agreement. The fan voting, a little stupid. And, I mean, in my opinion, I think the fan voting should go from, like, 50% to, like, maybe 33, if not, like, 25%.
I think it should just be 0. Just let people vote and think that it has some sort of bearing on it, but it actually means diddly squat.
Well,
That's
that's
the way
what
I'd
the
look at it.
25% would do, because if you give, you know, players like 50% of the votings and media 25, for example, you keep media there, you give players 50% of the vote, the players would ultimately choose who's making it. And last time I checked, I don't think Giannis Antetokounmpo would probably be voting for Derrick Rose to make the All-Star team this year. Hell, I don't even think Derrick Rose is picking Derrick Rose to be on the All-Star team this year.
Yeah, I don't know. There's things I don't like about the voting system, but there's also like I don't have any recommendations on how it could be better. I mean, any way you do it, there's going to be some sort of bias or something. You know, players have their little groups, and you know they'll be like, "Oh, I have beef with this player, so I'm not going to vote for him, even though someone's clearly an all-star."
Well,
And it's the same with the media. The media has their favorites. Like, you really think the media is going to vote Fox or Sabonis? Like Sacramento, what? We don't cover them.
Well, yeah, obviously there's going to be a little bit of bias with like the media, but I think players would ultimately respect people even if it is like those rivalries. The rivalries shouldn't affect that many people because it's if one vote against LeBron, ooh, boo-hoo, go cry about it. Like LeBron,
Yeah, but you never know.
LeBron would be fine.
LeBron could like bribe everybody and be like, "Hey, don't vote for this guy."
I mean, yeah,
I don't know.
but I don't think the All-Star votings have that much an effect on the players. Actually, funny little topic. Now that I remember, did you see what Aaron Gordon has posted?
Yeah, was it if he makes All Star, then he'll do the dunk contest as well.
Yeah. What's your opinion on that?
Well, he should come back and do the dunk contest, considering he's one of the ones that killed it.
He's killed it, as in he also needs to save it too.
I don't know. I think the whole dunk contest thing it's just embarrassing. When they announced that that McClung or whatever it was going to do it, like I seen people commenting, they're like, "Yeah, he's got hops and like he's awesome." He's also a G League player. Like, isn't it supposed to be?
There
You
is
got,
the last
there's
2
like
years
1,000
hasn't it been
players in the
like
freaking
G
NBA.
League?
No,
Like
like last year it was like Cole Anthony and I can't name anybody else, but
Obi Toppin, and I know there was definitely a G League guy in there. Why is the
but like he
dance
got.
team on the court of the 2K game? By the way, there's we were in the middle of the game and the dance team was still on the court.
I can't see it, so
Ooh. But yeah, that's a thing. I think a lot of people would love to see Aaron Gordon back in the dunk contest.
the
Because I
thing
mean,
is, like, you got so many players in the NBA, and nobody's going to put their hand up to do it. Like, I just don't understand.
that's
Just
because
stop it.
of
Find something else to do then.
well, it's because the fact that the voting was like really bad, especially like last year, in the biased votings. Because I mean, we saw a lot of players get snubbed, specifically Aaron Gordon, who had to make a whole diss track on Dwayne Wade for how bad he voted in the dunk contest. Like,
I think it's just like, you see the people that win the dunk contest, like say like a Terrence Ross or a Nate Robinson. You got all these guys. Like, I can tell you straight up that like Ja Morant wouldn't want to lose to like, just for example, like Darius Baisley or something in the dunk contest. I have no idea if he can actually dunk. Just thinking of an obscure name.
you're
But it's like
just
they don't.
you're giving a
Their
stray
egos are
reason.
so high. Their egos are so high that they just don't want to be knocked down a peg. I think that's what it is,
I
and
mean,
it's.
that's definitely got to be a part of it because Aaron Gordon, debatably for most people, one of the best dunkers of all time. Losing to Zach LaVine by 1 point. Which I mean, all credit to Zach. He's a good dunker and all, but I mean, Aaron Gordon had some dunks in that one.
I think all these players though that are like saying no to it. I think they're just taking it a bit too serious. It's like the whole. I think on the last episode we did, I was talking about it with the All Star. Like the whole weekend is just for a bit of fun. It's mainly for the fans and for the charities and for the city that you're doing it in. Like it's not even a real thing. The All Star game itself is a glorified pickup game. The dunk contest and 3-point shooting, like yeah, we all talk about it and stuff, but at the end of the day, it doesn't mean shit. It's just a bit of fun. Like who cares if you lose? Just go out there and put on a show. But
Well, I
all these
mean,
players just see it as like they're like above it or something. Like I
I
don't get
also
it.
think that
Like
there's not too much of a financial incentive for them to do it, so they don't feel like there's a reason for them to practice all these flashy dunks or potentially injure themselves doing it. You
I
know,
guess like you can say that with like the superstars or whatever, but like dude number 13 on the roster that's fighting to keep his spot. Like why isn't he doing it? Might as well. Like some players have made their names doing it.
for real. And I mean, especially if you're not really gonna be an all star, and you're not necessarily a rookie anymore. I mean, and you're gonna like watch the game, but you're not gonna actually, you're just gonna sit there and watch the dunk contest go on instead of like jumping in there. Because I mean, most of
Like
these
you might as well.
NBA players are like sitting courtside at these things.
Yeah. I just don't know. It perplexes me how there's like hundreds of players in the league and yet nobody's going to put their hand up. They have to reach out to G League guys and like there was some talk of like reaching out to actual like pro dunkers. It's like that's not what the dunk contest is about. It's about the best dunkers in the NBA, not randoms.
I
Like if
mean,
you want to watch pro dunk, you follow the pro dunk circuit. Like
yeah, and I mean that's why they have these dunk leagues forming now. I'm assuming because I've heard a bit about these dunk leagues.
I don't know.
That
Like,
is,
I
I
don't
mean,
know. I don't. It's like if you're gonna just put like professional dunkers and stuff in the dunk contest, I might as well be watching slam ball. Like
exactly.
I don't really care. That was the shit. Do you remember that?
I do. I loved watching that because I mean, wasn't that the one league that had like trampolines that people just go
Yeah, bro.
insane? Like There'd be a
Like,
dude
it's
30
sick.
feet up in the air posterizing some dude.
Yeah.
That would be nuts. I would I wouldn't even dare cross in a guy like that. Personally
Not
speaking.
even a chance you'd be able to do that anymore. It'd be like so much occupational safety and health.
I know they just
They just
started
get
back up this
sued.
year. They started it back this year.
Oh, really?
They did. I saw it on YouTube, a video of them starting up this year. I was like, no shot, they're back.
That's sick. No, I might watch that instead of
I
the dunk contest.
then maybe I should too. Shit, man. I mean, I might have to just watch it, just to cover, at least know how to cover it. But I mean, it's a thing that we could watch things like that. The NBA needs to start competing with that. So I mean, we need to incentivize people like not necessarily LeBron, but have a Ja versus Zion dunk contest matchup. You know how many viewers you would get off that?
Yeah, see, like it does, like that'd be sick, but they're just not gonna do it. It's not
Yeah,
even like about incentive. I reckon it just comes back to what I said before. It's like neither of those dudes wants to lose.
but I mean,
Nobody wants to be the loser.
yeah, no one wants to be the loser and all, but to lose to a guy like Ja or Zion, that's respectful to most people. I mean, if you're losing to a dude named Obi Toppin, you're not feeling very good about yourself after the next day. Especially if
Yeah,
you're like a
true.
superstar. I mean, if you're a role player, Obi Toppin, he's your level, but like Ja Morant losing to Obi Toppin, Ja Morant might take that personal for the next 15 years of his life.
Yeah, but I'm sure like the people who are in charge of it, like at the league, like I'm sure they've pitched this before, and it's just never happened. So there's got to be something behind it. Like obviously we're just guessing, but
Yeah,
like
there's gotta be.
you're telling me like at no point in LeBron's career, like they've gone, hey man, we want you in the dunk contest, and we're gonna put you against like D Wade and Vince Carter and shit. Like names on your level so that you don't get embarrassed.
Yeah,
Like I'm sure someone would have pitched that. And it's just never happened. So
had to have. And I mean,
because like they if they're asking G Leaguers to do it, then they've gone through every other option. Surely they're not just like, oh yeah, we asked people and they said no, so we're just going straight to the G League.
yeah, and I mean, there's just no reason to have to bring people up for the G League. There should be no reason. I'm
And
not
it's like,
here.
doesn't the G League have their own dunk contest? Like they have
They
their own
do.
All Star
I'm
weekend.
pretty sure they do. Like, it doesn't
So
make much sense for.
so like the way I think about it is, if they can't actually get anybody to do it, then they should start thinking about other contest ideas. Like the skills challenge has been a bit of a success.
That's because we have such skilled players now that are like big men, like Domantas Sabonis in the skills challenge. That was impressive to watch. I don't think most people who don't watch Sacramento basketball, they were like, "Oh shit, this guy knows what he's doing."
Yeah, I don't know what the answer is, but I
It's.
don't think bringing up G League is the right one.
I mean, if they do it again this year, which I don't think they actually have, from what I've heard, but if they end up, having to bring in more G League guys for the dunk contest this year, I think this might be the last year of the dunk contest. And I mean,
Well, they've already announced one. There was McClung, so
oh yeah,
they've already done it.
this might be the last
Which I
year.
don't understand. I don't understand why that guy's not actually in the league. Like I watched him in the summer league, and that guy can bowl. He's a pretty good player, man. Like
Yeah, I mean, he is definitely a more talented player than the G League. I do have to agree with you on that, but you know, people are apparently not in agreement, and I mean, there has to be a reason.
yeah, it probably comes back to what we've always talked about it. That they try out younger guys that are a bit more untested,
And also
whereas
in
they've
the
seen
G
this
League,
guy before. Yeah,
they'll those first-year G League guys are always going to be hot off the topics because they're here to ball fully because they don't have a contract. They want to
And
make
you're competing against so many other things now, like the overtime elite league. Like a lot of people get picked up from that now. That's where they're looking for a lot of their talent.
And I mean, if a player has more of a social media presence too, also a huge bonus because teams with that kind of clout get a lot more viewers. I mean, John Zion probably helped Memphis and New Orleans out drastically. I think whatever team Victor Wembanyama's getting is instantly going to be like doubling its viewers.
Detroit.
Detroit or the San Antonio, in my opinion, will probably be the winners. I mean, we could actually, straight up go into our NBA standings that we're going to talk about. So, as of right now, Houston is the worst team in basketball. They are
not
on
a surprise.
12-loss streak right now. Lost the past 12. They are 10-35 on the season. Which, I mean, genuinely impressive. We don't even have anything like that reversed. It is hard to lose that many games. And, I mean, Jalen Green and Kevin Porter Jr. and I don't even know who else is on the Rockets. I'm going to be honest with you. Tari Eason.
Sengun is their man. He is. When I watch the Rockets, and I've watched them twice in the last week or so, because they played the Kings, Sengun is the only player on that team that looks like he has a future. Like, I don't know what people saw in Jalen Green. He just looks like an empty calorie scorer to me. Like, he put up 41 the other night, and it could have been anybody. It's like when Sadiq Bey put up 40. It's like, meh. What are you going to do with your career?
Yeah. So, I mean...
it was a bad pick at the time, I thought, when Houston selected him. I thought there was better prospects in the draft, and he's just proven it at the moment. He's that team, like, I get having young players on your team, what Houston's doing, going, like, full in with the rebuild, but you've got to have some sort of mentorship there, and Eric Gordon's pretty checked out. He's not keeping Jalen Green in check. He's just being allowed to do whatever he wants. And at the moment, that's just resulting in empty stats.
And, I mean, Eric Gordon's a great person to, look for empty stats, in my opinion.
Well, he's also having one of his worst shooting seasons as well. So it's like
Very true.
He wants to get traded like he does every season from Houston.
I mean, this is the moment where, we were talking about how, veterans are starting to head out of the league, that veteran presence, but I mean, Houston definitely could use. I mean, Detroit did it with Bojan, and I mean, they're looking to trade off Bojan at the same time, but I mean...
Well, not even like Bojan. Like, Detroit's got Bojan, they got Burks, they got Corey Joseph.
Yeah, they have
there's at least
veterans.
3 steady heads. You've got Dwayne Casey. Like, the coach is always going to be, the one that's in charge of trying to, teach the players. And Dwayne Casey's a coach of the year before, so like he knows what he's doing. I couldn't even tell you the name of the bloody Rockets coach, but I'm pretty sure he's young.
And,
I don't think he has that.
Definitely. So I mean, the Rockets. I mean, even if they get Wembanyama, they still have Sengun there. Like, how is that even gonna work? I mean, we've already tested the Rudy Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns thing. Same issue.
Oh, that team is not working at all. Like I thought they wouldn't, but
I don't think anyone in the league genuinely thought that the Towns-Gobert duo was going to work at all. You do not need 2 slow 7-footers and one of them taking up the paint the whole time. The other one he needs a lot more paint shots. He's not taking them anymore because Gobert is still in the way. And I mean...
Yeah, I don't understand what the Timberwolves thought was going to happen. Like, that team looked decent last year. Like, their play-in run, they looked good against the Grizzlies in that playoff series. It was like, yeah, we just need another year of togetherness. Maybe get rid of D'Lo. Give Edwards more touches. That's all they needed to do. And they're like, no, we'll get Gobert. Like, what?
I mean, he was... because, I'm Jazz fan, and I'm gonna talk about this because I was a Rudy Gobert fan because he was on my team, but like when when we knew that we were deconstructing everything, I thought we were gonna be stuck with Rudy Gobert. I didn't think we were getting a trade for him, and if we were, it was gonna be a bad trade. Like it was gonna be like a downgrade and still be an old guy that we're gonna be stuck with. Kind of like not to throw Mike Conley out there. I love Mike Conley, but we were gonna get another Mike Conley caliber player back and maybe like a draft pick. And then Minnesota
Yeah,
just gave
Derek
us
Favors and two
everything.
first rounders or something.
Yeah. They just gave us everything. And that was a huge benefit of a trade. I think Utah would probably be winning Wembanyama if we didn't get that trade. Because we did not need Gobert. And Walker Kessler is proving that literally anyone could step into the Rudy Gobert role.
He had like a 2020 the other day, didn't he?
Yeah, he did have a 2020 like 2 days ago, which
Yeah,
was
that's
insane.
insane.
He's averaging like around the same amount of blocks as Gobert was. He's not necessarily going to be winning DPOY. He's not that big of a defensive presence, but he's taking on Hassan Whiteside's role. He's doing more scoring than Gobert. At least skill wise, and he looks like a lot more of a promising player. And I think he could definitely surpass Rudy Gobert, if not, be on the same level as him within the next 4 years.
I think the thing with Gobert, was that the whole team was built, the whole scheme of Utah was built around him. And it made him look a lot like they covered a lot of his deficiencies, and the fit around him was perfect. And that team never did anything. No offense.
The reason,
there's
no offense.
And now the Timberwolves have got him, and then just tried to plug him into the way that they wanted to play. And it's like, no, that's not how he works. You've got to build around Gobert. You can't just plug him in.
That's because Rudy Gobert's taking up that paint spot. He's there for the offensive rebounds, and and that's also why the Jazz were the number one 3-point shooting team in the league the past 2-3 years. Was the fact that we were only shooting threes because Rudy Gobert is blocking the paint. So if you put 4 elite shooters around Rudy Gobert, yeah, you're gonna make Rudy Gobert look like an all-star, DPOY talent because he's not necessarily in the way of what we need to do. And we're still like a high shooting 3-point team still, but now we're actually taking inside shots. Rudy Gobert, I think it. Not Rudy Gobert, Lauri Markkanen, because we were just talking about that guy. Lauri Markkanen, he's dunking a hell of a lot. And if we had Rudy Gobert, Lauri Markkanen wouldn't be dunking. He'd be at the 3-point line.
He'd be in the Kevin Love spot, just stand on the perimeter.
Yeah, he would have been exactly what he was in Cleveland for 1 year. He would just been there for the shooting, not there for being an all-star, doing whatever he wants. Now he's doing whatever he wants. And that's why Lauri Markkanen looks so good. Is the fact that he isn't doing what he was on the Bulls. He wasn't doing what he was on Cleveland. He was, he wasn't just a 3-point shooter. Now he's a whatever he wants to be.
I think his only problem when he was at the Bulls, though, was injuries.
That is true. He was very injured.
They put a lot of faith in him, and they just couldn't trust his body enough. You're right with you saying with Cleveland, though. He was just stand on the perimeter, shoot threes, dude.
And surprisingly enough, I thought Rudy. Oh my God, Lauri Markkanen was gonna be. Yeah. Keep talking about Rudy, man. I need to get that man out of my head. He's living my head rent free right now. Lauri Markkanen, I think when we originally got him, I thought he was gonna be out for half the year at this point. I thought he was gonna get some major injury and that was gonna be it, but he's stayed healthy, surprisingly.
Sexton's been the one that's out injured all the time.
I didn't want Sexton on the team. I made that loud and clear to everybody. I didn't think we needed him. There was no reason to have him. That trade was pretty much useless. And
it was just the money. Make the money match, I guess.
Yeah, we didn't need Sexton. Cleveland could have kept him. And I don't really believe that Colin Sexton's that good of an offensive talent. It's just he's just not really what we needed. I'm fine with him
I
off the
like him
bench
as a
on this.
sixth man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's fine
I
off the
like him as a
bench.
sixth man. Oh,
But
I'm getting back to it though. Like that trade for Gobert, has basically screwed this season. I reckon nobody knows what anything's worth. Like, what is the actual value of a first round pick now?
that is very true. That's probably why, the trade market has been dead the past, season. There's only been one
Like
trade, and that
the
was
trade
just to,
deadline,
waive people.
the trade deadline is coming up in like 3 weeks, 3 and a bit weeks,
Yeah.
something like that, and we haven't seen anything. Like,
If
supposedly John Collins, there is no market out there for him. I was reading something I think yesterday
Yeah.
that Atlanta told John Collins' camp, go see if you can find a trade. And they come back, they're like, yeah, nobody wants us.
And I mean,
So that's probably got a little bit to do with the way he's been playing this year. Like he's shooting the worst 3-point percentage he has in his entire career. But it's probably also got something to do with nobody knows what anything's worth.
that's
Like
definitely
Atlanta's
it. I
probably
mean,
gone, yeah, we,
have you seen
we
what
want
they
3
value
first-round
him?
picks for him.
Have you seen the valuation of John Collins on the trade block as well? It's insane.
No.
They want they pretty much want an all-star back for him.
I know that some teams were calling up about OG Anunoby to
That was
Toronto.
earlier on in this year. I haven't seen anything since.
And they said that they want a Dejounte Murray style package, like what Atlanta had to give up to get to Dejounte Murray from Spurs. Like, and that's what 2 or 3 first round picks and a swap.
Yeah, it's
Like, I
like
love OG, but you're not getting that.
yeah, and I mean OG is gonna be great for like putting around like any team because he's a great two-way player. But I mean, DeJounte is a better two-way player. So I mean, there's no way you're gonna be getting that kind of package for him.
I guess because he's a wing, it's turning into a wings league at the moment. Like,
Well, yeah, because all wings at this
but
point
still,
should be
like,
two-way.
you're trading for a guy that's going to be like your 4th or 5th option if you're a championship winning team. Like, yeah, he can defend really well, but you're not giving up 3 draft picks for that.
Yeah.
That's like, what if I'm trading for Bojan Bogdanovic from the Pistons? Like, I've got to give up 2 first rounders. Like, that's not happening.
Actually, this is what I heard for the trade package: a promising young player and 1 first round for Bojan.
Even then, like, I'm not doing that. That's too much. The dude's like ancient,
The dude's like
having his best
35
season.
right now, and yeah, he's doing great. And I mean, credit to him for being this good. But I mean, I don't think any team's picking up a 35-year-old now on a 3-year deal for a solid amount of money too, to where you don't even really want to waive him. And I mean,
It's like I'll give you a promising young player, or I'll give you a first round draft pick. You're not getting both from
you
me.
ain't getting both. You'd have Justin Patton, who caught a stray from John Wall the other day.
Oh, I don't think I've seen that. I know I've seen that the Clippers have put John Wall on the trade block supposedly.
I think the Clippers at this point are just trying to do anything. Because I mean, currently on the standings, I mean the Western Conference is really close to each other on the play-in. Just for record here, so we'll start off from the 5th seed because I mean the Pelicans are 26-20, they're far and away. Mavericks are 24-22. The 13th seed, the Lakers, 20-25, which is roughly about a 5, not even 5. It's let me do math. About a 3-ish game difference from the 5th seed to the 13th seed. So I mean, the West is really close to each other. And I
Where are
mean,
the Kings? Oh, they're 3rd.
the Kings are
Yeah,
up there.
buddy.
And I mean,
We're 3rd.
the ones that are really concerning is the Suns, the Clippers, the Timberwolves, and the Warriors. all these guys are, supposed to be great playoff teams. They're supposed to be back in there, getting at it. But I mean, they haven't proved
Still, start of the
themselves.
year, I'm pretty sure I had Suns, Warriors, and Clippers all in the top six.
I mean, I think everyone did. I don't think anyone was expecting to see Sacramento 3, Pelicans 4, Jazz number 6. And I mean, right now the West is just so up in the air. And I mean, if it's going to be really interesting, if the Timberwolves made that Rudy Gobert trade, going back to that, just to see the Utah Jazz make the playoffs and them missing it. I mean, at that point,
Yeah, you
what do you
feel like an
do?
idiot.
Like, at that
That's
point,
the other interesting thing with the trade deadline coming up is like, are any of these teams just going to say fuck it and just give up on the season and blow it up?
I
Like you look
mean,
at a team like
yeah,
Portland, like they have some good assets, but like they're not going anywhere. I
they're not
understand
going
they've
anywhere
been
because
loyal
they,
with
they
Dame,
want Dame, yeah.
like, and I understand that he's been loyal, but maybe it's time just to blow it up. Like,
And I mean, if you even look at the roster, I mean, you have Anthony Simons, who, he's doing really well. He's a young player. But everyone else on the team, Nurkic is 28. I'm pretty sure Jeremy Grant's around that age. Dame's like 32, 33 at this point. I mean, that's such an old team. And I mean, you don't need that high of an age range for multiple years and be the 12th seed. That's just not going to work out too well for you. I mean, same problem with the
like
Lakers. Same problem with the Clippers.
so I think the thing with the Clippers and like the Suns, I think there's an exception. Like the Clippers have played so much without Paul George and Kawhi. Like, I guess it comes to a point where you can't keep giving them that excuse. But like, I'm still giving them that excuse because when those two play together with the rest of their team, they're a pretty good team. Like, it's just they're not on the court enough. And same with the Suns. Like Booker's been out a long time. CP3's missed a lot of the season.
I mean, yeah, injuries are going to be taking a toll on you, but at that point, it's like, I don't think the Clippers made the playoffs last year. I mean, yeah, they didn't have Kawhi Leonard, but if you're going to be missing out on both Kawhi and Paul George, the entirety of your season, is there really a point on keeping that team around them?
Well, that's why I was so surprised when I seen that John Wall was up for trade because it means that they're trying to be buyers and like they're still going for it.
I think the Clippers, the Suns, the Lakers, the Trailblazers should all be buying teams or selling teams right now. I think they all should be doing moves at some point within the next month to where one of them picks up a solid player. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be like a Bojan where you have to lose a first round pick, but like, it needs to be somebody. You need to sign a guy who's going to make a difference. Whether that, be huge or not, y'all need to figure something out.
Maybe the Lakers just got to go back and look at that Indiana trade. What was it? Russ and the two future firsts for Hield and Turner.
I
I'd
mean,
be doing that in a heartbeat.
the only problem is those are their two first round picks for like the next 6 years.
Yeah,
And
you can always
if
trade.
everything goes to shit with that, you really have no backup option. You just threw away your backup option.
Nah, you still got a backup option. You trade AD and trade Turner. You still get a first rounder for Hield. He's not ancient yet.
But I mean, yeah, you
Trade
have to do
LeBron.
those. Trade LeBron, you crazy for that one. Anyone who's trading
Oh,
LeBron,
give him the OKC for like 3 or 4 first rounders. They'd still have like
that won't.
6
They
to
still have
spare.
like 8 left.
Yeah, exactly.
And I mean, actually, you know what? Going into it, OKC, one of the biggest surprises as well this year. Ninth in the West so far. and they're actually looking like a really, really promising team, and they don't even have Chet Holmgren in yet.
That's only because Shea's putting up the second most 30-point games in the season. I think he's put up like 25 or something.
And I mean, yeah, he is
Only behind.
he's putting up crazy numbers, but I mean, have you also looked at Josh Giddey too?
Of course.
Josh
Giddey,
he's put up a bunch of triple doubles this season. I mean, he's not necessarily going to be your point scorer, but he's setting up the floor too. And I mean, there's been a few times, I think it's probably around 6, 7, 8 times, I think, this season to where he's dropped a triple double. And, you know,
that's a thing that a lot of people underestimate with like these young teams that everyone thinks is tanking, is like the young players still get better. It's not like they're doing like a Philadelphia the process where it's like, yeah, we get these young players and they show signs and then we trade them for more draft picks. It's like OKC's keeping all these young players and they're not going to be shit forever. Like,
yeah, at some point in time, you know, the process is over. And I mean, doesn't
exactly.
Philadelphia
Like,
still
Shea's
say...
a perfect example.
I'm pretty sure the Philadelphia 76ers still say the process. I mean, and they're what, they're the third seed. Like, how much longer the process? I mean, also another thing, you know, the Thunder's mentor is like what, Mike Muscala?
He's been playing pretty good this year when needed, when called upon.
That is true, but like, you know,
there's a time where I was tempted to put him in my fantasy team, actually.
Oh, Kendrick Williams too. Don't forget about Kendrick Williams.
I mean, I don't rate Kendrick Williams, but okay.
And I mean, they have Shea and Josh Giddey, both great pickups. Poku is really starting to, you know, develop. He's starting to become into a really dependable two-way player.
You got Lou Dort.
I think Poku is, he's a 7-footer, and I mean, put him next to Chet Holmgren, Shea, and Josh Giddey. I mean, that is such a tall team. I mean, how tall is Jalen Williams? Because I know he's starting at their small forward right now. He's 6'5". No, Giddey. How tall is he?
I'm watching him play right now. Muscala's on the field.
6'8", Josh Giddey. Let's see, 6'11", Shea.
Shea's like, he's not 6'11", surely.
That is not right. I just looked that up.
I thought he was like 7.
He's probably, yeah, but still, that's insane. Like, 6'11" Shea, 6'8" Josh Giddey, 6'5" Jalen Williams, 7-foot Poku, and what? Chet Holmgren is probably what, 7'1". He's 7'1". You hear the height on that team. Your smallest player is your small forward, for crying out loud. And I mean, that's such a scary team to verse, especially if, you're Phoenix, where you have Chris Paul guarding a 7-foot Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. I mean, you will literally have no way to stop that in, like, the next 3 years. Like, and with all of OKC's picks, like, that was so hidden under the radar, no one saw it coming. And now OKC has 16 first-round picks. They have a very promising team that might even make the playoffs this year. How are you going to be able to verse that team in 5 years once, they use 10 of those picks or trade away 10 of those picks? You know how deep that team's going to be? How good that team's going to be?
Yeah, I don't think they'll end up using all those picks. I think that what will probably happen and what they're hoping to happen is they keep Shea, Giddey develops, they get Holmgren back, Pokusevski develops, and then they use whatever draft picks they got left over just to finally land like that final piece. which is really what New Orleans should be doing this year if they could keep everyone healthy.
And
I think you said before, New Orleans are fourth in the West, and that's with Ingram's only played like 15 games so far this year. Zion's been keeping them afloat, but he's out now.
just so you are aware, the 2K game did just end. Utah won
Hawks.
53 to 41.
Oh, really?
It was not even
What
close.
was Neat
Karl
doing?
Malone dropped 30 and 10 in 17 minutes.
Jesus.
I don't know how the hell he did that, but Karl Malone is just a beast like that.
Mailman always delivers.
That is true. Now we got to figure out another.
No.
And I know we have a few people in the chat here who've been saying W stream. I'll let y'all decide our next game. I'll give you a few minutes. Just mention in the chat who you'd like to see. Otherwise, me and Skippy are going to be picking it up here. But where were we?
Yeah, no. OKC, they have a future, but even if they make the playoffs this year, I don't really see them doing too much. They'll just be making up the numbers, I think.
I mean, definitely.
But, like, they are a fun team to watch, except for when they're versing my Kings, like they are right now.
Yeah, they are versing your Kings, and I do know that I think they are beating them, if I'm not mistaken.
No. Quarter time, we're up by a point.
Oh, okay.
Watch your tongue. Watch your tongue.
I looked at it, it was like 25-19 earlier.
Yeah, when I turned it on, we were losing.
Yeah.
I'm the good luck charm.
And then,
I swear the game started at 2:30 my time, but it must have started at 2.
I had to turn off my game because, stream setup and keeping like 6 different tabs open to hop between things, that kills your computer.
Yeah, no, I've got my Xbox running. It's literally the only way I can watch NBA games.
Yeah,
For some reason, my Chromecast just does not work with the NBA app. So, hey, NBA people, if you're listening, fix your goddamn app.
I had to have them fix mine, but they did. I was happy. Now, enough about the
I think we should probably talk a little bit. Yeah, we should talk about some of the teams in the East, I think.
I mean, let's just start off with the Pacers.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
List. The Pacers, they just lost Tyrese Halliburton. They're on a 5-game losing streak right now. I mean, they're now 23-23. They were 23-18 earlier, which would roughly put them probably around the 6th seed. Which, I mean, that's a pretty good spot to be. That means whatever you're doing, it's working. So, I mean, do we really need to worry about Indiana with this Tyrese injury? Because, I mean, obviously without Tyrese, they can't do anything. Like, it is just too far gone. Tanking team for sure. And, I mean, do they take this time to trade away either Miles Turner or Buddy Hield? Bring in probably maybe a first or two, or maybe just an all-star player for the two, and take a push this year, or fall back, pick up a good player, and then now you have 2 young players for the future. Like, what's the plan?
Well, I know they're definitely not going to get an all-star. Miles Turner's in the final year of his contract, so
that is true. But I mean,
Miles
Turner has been playing really well this year too.
Yeah, but it's just how the contracts work, Last year, your contract, you're not going to get full value for a player. But I don't think they need to blow it up either. I mean, coming into the season, everybody thought they were going to be one of the front runners for Wembanyama. But they quickly showed that wasn't the case. And, even though Halliburton and they've been losing, I think they should just keep going ahead with what they got. Maybe if they want to get rid of Buddy Hield, if they could get a first just for him by himself, I think that would be an option worth looking at. But
I don't even know if
the
you
rest
really
of the
want to give up a first if you're trying to contend this year. I think flip Buddy Hield for some category that you might be lacking in. 'Cause, I mean,
No,
that
I think you could still get like a first rounder for him, or maybe you could flip him for a younger piece. Like, say, for example, you trade him to Washington for Corey Kisbett or something, player that does the same
Cam
thing but a
Reddish
little
is
bit
on the
younger.
trade block, not using him in New York.
Yeah, I've seen like 4 or 5 teams go looking after him, looking for him.
I think the
Bucks and
Lakers
Heat.
are like in the front runners for that.
The Lakers would take anybody that can actually stay on the court right now. So
Stay on
I
the
don't think
court
that
and
counts. But
actually shoot too.
that's the thing, though. Is Reddish isn't like it's not like he's a 3-point sharpshooter. He's sort of an unknown.
Well,
Like if you're trading for Cam Reddish, you're trading for what you think he could be.
yeah,
And like so far in his career, he hasn't really shown that he could be anything. To be honest, otherwise he'd still be at Atlanta.
that is true. And I mean, he was facing huge minutes, going against DeAndre Hunter there. And I mean, it's hard to compete against a guy like that. And I mean, obviously, he's not proving much more in New York. So obviously, the
Yeah,
fresh
well,
start is
RJ had that
pushing.
RJ had that finger laceration that he's just returned from, and
Yeah,
he missed like a good 2 or 3 weeks. Like, and Reddish still wasn't playing, so I don't know if that's good signs for him.
that's not a good sign. Obviously, if your number one competitor, the star player, your team is out, and you're not taking in those minutes. I don't know if you're really.
Probably got a little bit to do with Thibodeau as well, though. I know he can be a bit of a weird coach to play under, especially if you're young. Just like the coach they got in Charlotte, I think it's Clifford. Like, he's still playing Plumlee, even though you've got 2 young centers that you need to develop.
Yeah,
So I'll
there's a.
start
I don't know
Plum.
why Charlotte hasn't fired Clifford at this point. He's not doing
I don't
much.
know. I don't know why they fired Borrego.
That is true. I don't know why they even did that in the first place. Borrego was fine. And I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, as we could tell, the Hornets are not winning basketball games. They are third place for the Wembanyama race at the moment.
They second last in the East.
They are second to last in the East. They are tied with Detroit, actually. Detroit has 2 more games played than them, and they're both losses. So that's the only reason why they're ahead of Detroit.
Oh my God.
Hornets have
I think coming into the
stinky.
season, their over-under was like in the 30s, and I took the under straight away.
All right.
So that was a
Nobody has mentioned
definite money.
anything in the chat, so we gotta find a team to play too.
We'll leave Utah on because they're our defending champions.
True.
What happens if you hit your randomizer? We got some good teams out of that last time.
That is true. All right, we're gonna hit it. 64-65 Celtics. I'm overriding that. I don't want to watch Bill Russell, respectfully. 97-98 Spurs. Timmy Duncan, David Robinson.
Yeah, same era.
Yeah, literally the same year, actually. We're going to hit the
That could be an
play,
interesting one.
see what happens there. But to continue on, that's actually really funny. Magic are doing better than the Hornets. Hornets have LaMelo. They have promising pieces over there with Gordon Hayward, PJ Tucker. Can't do anything. The Magic are doing better with literally just, what's his name?
Paulo.
Paulo Banchero.
Yeah, they got the Wagners.
They do have the Wagners there, but, I don't think it's really done much.
Hey, Franz is playing pretty good this year.
Well, no, not the Magic-wise. Like the Hornets, it's just been a huge disappointment this year.
Yeah, well, supposedly they're trying to get rid of Rozier as well.
I would just get rid of everybody who is old. I don't care. Get rid of Hayward. Get rid of Rozier. Figure something
What
out.
team is going to take Hayward, though? There's not a team on the planet that's going to take Gordon Hayward.
Any team that needs a bench player who is probably going to be injured for the rest of the year.
They literally need someone to warm the bench because that's all he's good for.
Yeah, pretty much. A guy who's gonna be there in the locker room to support his team. We need that cheerleader on the
That guy,
bench.
that guy probably regrets leaving the Jazz every waking minute of his life.
Probably because that was the last time he's actually done anything. Because breaks his leg in the first game on Boston and has just died ever since.
Just been on the bench.
Has not
King of the injury report.
literally. I mean, we're talking Jonathan Isaac too.
Hey, he's coming back, isn't he?
That is true. Jonathan Isaac is, in fact, from what I've seen on the injury reports, planning to come back for this second game of the back-to-back the Magic have. They're playing their first against Sacramento today. Oh, wait, no, not. Is it? No.
Not today. It's
Which
definitely
team
not
are they
today.
facing? Not today, yeah.
I think we've already played him twice this year.
You have. It was Thunder. We were literally just talking about that, too. They're versing the Pelicans today. Tomorrow they are playing the Nuggets. Oh wait, no, that was. Why is it backwards? No, they're versing the Wizards. Man, I definitely know what I'm talking about. So yeah, they're versing the Wizards tomorrow. Jonathan Isaac could be coming back then. If not, he'll probably be back against the Celtics. And I mean, that man hasn't played in 3 years.
Since the bubble, wasn't it?
Yeah, literally. He hasn't played since the coronavirus was popular. And I mean, there's been a lot of changes in people's lives in the past 3 years Jonathan Isaac has been gone. And I mean,
Except for mine.
he wasn't even a bad player, He just got his contract extension for 4 years. He was looking to be a potential DPOY guy in a few years. A great piece to, have on your team, not necessarily build around. But, I mean, he was exciting, to watch. And I think the Magic...
Sort of like how we were talking about OG before.
Yeah, and, he was going to be that guy. I think he was more defensive-oriented than OG was, but... I'm sorry, I got distracted looking at Karl Malone's free throw routine. And I love Jonathan Isaac, one of my favorite guys. I used to watch him in college as well. And I mean, he was exciting to watch, put up 7 blocks in a game if he really felt like it. And then, he's out for the foreseeable future, finally coming back. And I mean, he's going to be off the bench for Orlando. They don't need him. They just picked up Paolo. Bull's looking good. I mean, Wendell Carter Jr., he's a solid piece. I mean, the only person you could really, verse for minutes on the starting lineup would be Wendell Carter.
That's why I'm a bit circumspect, I guess, looking at Jonathan Isaac coming back. Is the reason they're bringing him back to, show other teams, hey, look, he's healthy. Now you can trade for him.
It's either
because I don't really understand
or the fact that, he's been out for the past 3 years. This is last year on his contract. He needs to play, otherwise no one's going to sign him in the free agency, and no one knows how good he is. That man could be, better than what he was, or he could be, G League the next year. It's hard to tell.
But yeah, I don't see where he fits with this Magic team.
He doesn't.
With age and they just don't have the room for him.
I wouldn't
As
even
you
say
mentioned,
age.
all those names.
He's 26 years old now. He's still young.
Yeah, but even that doesn't mesh with what they're trying to do. That team's not going to be good for 3-4 years. So he's going to be 30. He's going to be their vet, or
at that point, I mean, you could even call him a vet. He's missed the past 3 years. He's still second-year player. Oh, nice. My PlayStation lost
good luck to him.
connection.
Best of luck to him. I mean, it's good to see their stories of players that have been out for so long coming back. But yeah, I just don't. I don't see what he's going to do.
And I mean, yeah, you can't really do a whole lot. It's not like, he's that superstar player that they've been waiting for all this time. So I mean, he has to prove himself within this year. He has to come back. I mean, he might be on minute. He's going to be on minute restrictions for the rest of the year, probably.
Oh,
He's
without a
probably going to be
doubt.
playing like
Yeah.
15, 20 minutes a game at most. And I mean, it's going to, prove that he can do something if he plays the rest of the year and doesn't get, hurt. So I mean, there's potential there to, get a contract. And I mean, there's a lot of teams out there who would probably be interested if he's actually, doing something.
Lakers.
That's for sure. Lakers would probably love
Lakers
that,
will be.
man.
Lakers are interested in any player with a heartbeat.
That is true. And I mean, a few other teams, if Atlanta was really down bad to trade John Collins away, even though Orlando doesn't need a power forward, Orlando needs probably a point guard, if anything. Because I mean,
Well, you don't like Fultz?
no, I really don't. It's Markelle Fultz. I thought he was out of the league last year. I'm not even gonna lie. I kind of forgot he existed.
He's looked pretty good when he's played, I reckon. Like, obviously not number one draft pick, but
yeah,
serviceable player.
And I mean, he's under the shadow of, that Jason Tatum year. Where now, Lowry Markkanen looks better. Donovan Mitchell. There's a lot of players that are way above him now. And Markelle was supposed to be, the next prime Derrick Rose. It's kind of hard,
Yeah, he's
going from that.
definitely not that.
He won't even be close. I reckon that he will probably, A, never be an all-star, but B, potentially after Orlando, he's going to be, riding people's benches. Maybe even during Orlando. He might fall there soon enough. Because I don't know if Jalen Suggs is starting or not. I'm assuming he's not.
No.
Next year, he probably will be.
See, Jalen Suggs is another player that, like Fultz, that just already doesn't look like he's going to be that much. Like, he'd be a serviceable player, and that's about it.
That is true. He doesn't look all that.
He has spurts where he looks like he could be an all-star, but, like, it's few and far between. I mean, this is a guy that missed most of his rookie season.
And, I mean, the last noticeable thing people remember him for was, hitting that game-winning shot in college. That's the last thing I think most people have heard out of Jalen Suggs was his college career. I don't think anyone reckons him.
By Baylor in the final.
I don't think anyone thinks of him for his Orlando Magic career at this point.
Which I can't really talk. I would have taken him higher than what he was taken, but sometimes you get him wrong. I thought he was going to be a good player, Suggs, but
I mean, obviously, as we've seen with Markkanen, sometimes players just need a new spot to show what they really are. I mean, Jalen Suggs might be it. He might not, but I don't know. I think they need to give him a bigger shot. Because, I mean, it's not like you guys are going to be, running for playoff contentions right now. Might as well just throw players in and see what the hell happens.
well, that's why they've been giving Franz Wagner a lot more of the ball handling responsibilities. Be like, well, we'll see what you can do. Like, is there anything you can't do?
He's actually had a really good game today. I don't know if you looked at the Magic game today.
Nah, this is the first game I'm watching today. Watching the Kings get smoked.
Franz Wagner dropped 36 and 9 today.
Is that 9 assists or rebounds?
9 assists.
Nice.
I mean, we haven't seen anything like that out of Franz Wagner, at least from what I've seen. I mean, I haven't watched a whole lot of Orlando games, but I know he's improved on scoring. I don't, and he's averaging 20.5 points a game this season. I'm actually surprised by that. 20 points per game score, 4 rebounds, 3.5 assists. I mean, he put up 36 and 9. That's, I mean, there's something to work with there.
Yeah, no, he's a good player, Franz. I really like him. I like the combo they've got with him and Paolo. They just need a few years. Orlando will come good. Like, out of all those teams that are down towards the bottom of the league, like, them and OKC were the ones I was least concerned about because you could see the talent they had.
Yeah.
It's like getting back to the Houston conversation. It's like I see Sengun being a good player. I don't see anybody else on that team doing anything. Like, Tyree Easton showed good signs, but, like, that's as an auxiliary player, not as a star. Like,
Yeah.
same with Detroit. Like, Detroit, I thought they were going to be better than they have been this season, but that was because of the veterans they had on the team.
And also
Nothing to do with their
Cade
young guys.
Cunningham.
Like, yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, sounds stupid, but I didn't really rate Cade coming out of college. Like, he's sort of just like he can do a little bit of everything, but like I didn't see where the elite talent was.
I mean, doing a little bit of everything is a talent in this league.
Yeah, but I don't know. To me, like, a player's got to specialize. They can be good at everything, but there's got to be one thing that they're really good at. You know what I mean? Like, I've never really seen that with him. Like, but that can all change. And same with Jaden Ivey. Like, obviously, I watched a lot of Jaden Ivey because I thought that's who the Kings were going to pick, or it was one of the players that we could have picked. And, like, yeah, he has that talent that he could be like a Ja Morant or a Fox or whatever. But, like, yeah, I didn't really see it. Not in college anyway. The games I watched of him, like, showed it. It's like how we were talking about Suggs. He showed it in bits and pieces, but yeah, wasn't sure if he was going to be the superstar that everybody thinks he's going to be.
And I mean, he's kind of proven you wrong a little bit. I mean, not necessarily superstar yet, and I mean he's injured now, but I mean he was putting up pretty good numbers. I mean, not like, you know, I'm gonna shit my pants kind of numbers, but you know, he was putting up.
Yeah, but numbers is one thing. I'm not like a numbers guy though. I like. I'm more an eye test guy, and just from what I've seen from him, like, I just didn't like it. And like, even if he was putting up numbers, like, did the teams win? Did he help them win? I bet you they didn't. Like, so obviously it's not all his fault. Like, the team around him's got to step up as well. But like, I didn't see a game, like any game, where it was like Pistons have won and Jaden Ivey has carried them to this victory.
Yeah.
Like, still, this is still a first-year player we're talking about, so I guess I can't be too harsh. But
True. I mean, if we put, I mean, just, you know, on the topic of Detroit right now, you know, I know that they do have what? They do have a center there that's super young. And
beef
all,
stew.
Yeah, beef stew and all. He's obviously gonna be a solid stretch 4. I think he's a stretch 4, in my opinion. From what I've watched, I don't think he really should be playing the 5 that much. But
You can crash him back, but that's all you need to be able to do in the modern NBA. Like, you don't need to have the size as long as you can, you know, crash and bash, get some rebounds. Like,
he'll be fine. But yeah, it's
like Sadiq Bey was showing signs, but like this year he's completely come off the boil.
But I mean, the
But
thing
like,
I was going to get really into. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, like this, they signed Bagley to that big deal, and it's like, man, I've watched Marvin Bagley's whole career. Like, dude ain't special. Dude ain't never gonna be special. Yeah, he's just come back. He was injured, then he came back and got injured again. Like,
nice.
He got monstered by Sabonis when we played him. Like, they tried having him at center defending Sabonis for a couple of plays, and he just got destroyed.
Looking at,
I mean, it's hard to defend Sabonis if you're a big guy, but like, Bagley doesn't offer anything on the defensive end. Very little on the offensive end. He's not man enough to go in for rebounds. Like, what is his value? And they signed him for 3 years.
Definitely a questionable deal. That's for sure. I mean, I don't think anyone really, after watching, I mean, anyone who watched Sacramento and watched Marvin Bagley knew he should not have been on a 3 year or 4 year deal. I think it was a 3 year?
Yeah, I think they signed him for 3 years at like nearly 18 mil a season or something like that. Like,
That is nuts. There is no reason to do that. You're gonna be
it's
stuck
like
with
it's not like you were competing against anybody.
a Gary Harris kind of deal.
And the funny thing about it is like, if you watch the Kings this year, like Trey Lyles has been a pretty important player for us, like coming off the bench and rebounding and shooting threes, and it's like
And blocking.
he was
Pretty good
one
at
of
blocks.
he was one of the players we got out of that trade, and it's like, man, in a straight swap now, like I wouldn't give you back Trey Lyles for Marvin Bagley, not a chance in hell.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely going to be one of those things where, Detroit's going to be looking back, and if they're stuck with Marvin Bagley the next 2 years, they're going to be really, long and hard thought about that one.
I guess they don't have to really worry about it at the moment because those young teams all have a ton of cap space. So it's not like, oh man, we need space to sign this player and it's taken up by Bagley. But definitely, in hindsight, they'll be looking at it like, yeah, what the fuck did we do here?
That's for sure. And I mean, I think Marvin actually played only 5 games from what I could see. I was looking at his last 5 anyways. But the last 5 games he played right before his injury, I mean, he's really done nothing at all. It's quite impressive, actually. I mean, he had one 18-point game with 10 rebounds. Good for you, buddy. 10 rebounds, 10 points. I mean, he showed that he was a solid double-double guy if he actually, could stay that way. That'd be beneficial, but it's like the next game after that double-double, he played the same amount of minutes and dropped 2 points and 2 rebounds. While also continuously having a negative 19 plus minus.
So he does not play defense.
Yeah, there's no defensive stats I saw there. I mean, how do you be 6'10" and play no defense? That's actually impressive.
I think it's part of the way that the team's set up, though. I mean, you've got Stewart playing center. If Bagley starts with him, then he has to play on someone on the perimeter. I mean, most power forwards now are small forwards in disguise.
That's for sure.
It's not like he's going to stop anybody on the perimeter.
You got 7'3" Bol pulling up for 3 against Marvin Bagley. Yeah, you're not gonna do too well. Marvin Bagley would have been better, 10 years ago.
Would have been a perfect 80s, 90s player. Chuck him on the low block. He's got some good moves there, but the modern NBA,
Nope.
He's definitely not a good pickup, especially when you take him over Luka. But that's all we'll say about that.
Yeah, you're still coping with that one.
I would never stop coping with that.
And I mean, it's gonna be things I'm looking forward to. NBA wise is gonna be some of these young teams. Even though debatably my Jazz team is also one of those young teams that are gonna be up and coming. I mean, I'm just really excited to watch the NBA. Maybe in 3 years down the road. Where there's a a world where Brooklyn's gonna be terrible. Sixers are probably not gonna be very good. All these older teams. I mean, I was about to say LeBron, but he's already there. Golden State.
Yeah.
Oh, that's actually a good topic. What is Golden State's future? Because, I think Draymond's probably on the way out this next year. At least in my eyes.
Someone I was reading the other day, and he reckons he's going to play for another 4 years.
Well, I mean, there's the Golden State Warriors fans who say that. There's Draymond that says that. But realistically speaking, here, if you're watching Draymond Green play basketball, would you really want that man on your team the next 4 years, or do you want to make room to put Jordan Poole in the starting lineup?
I don't know. I'm going to be super biased if I even talk about this. I hate Draymond so much.
Obviously, I
Like,
mean, we're not the big Draymond fans here, but
I'm not a Warriors fan at all.
I
Just
ain't either.
cannot stand them. But I don't know if I try and keep neutral about it. With the salary cap that they've got, the young players they've got there, like I don't think there's a feasible way they can even keep him if they wanted to. He's due for a contract extension. Pretty sure Thompson's coming up for a contract extension.
Well, I don't know what Thompson said about like how much money. I know Draymond said he wants a max.
Yeah, what has he done to deserve a max?
Nothing.
Like, if we're realistically speaking about his play at the moment, not what you've done for me in the past. What have you done for me lately? He ain't done nothing.
Yeah.
He's just a point forward. Like, I'm sorry, if you looked around the league, that's becoming a pretty common thing now. Like, we've talked about Sabonis, or we've talked about Sengun. Look at Jokic. Like, these are all big guys that run the offense. Like, it's becoming a more commonplace thing. Look at Paolo Banchero, like Franz Wagner. So Draymond's not like this unicorn like he was 5 years ago, where he's like the only guy that did his thing.
Nope.
So I don't think, like, if he wants a max, then I'd just say, yeah, we'll look somewhere else. If you're willing to work with us, then we might.
Somewhere else. Name one NBA team that's looking for Draymond Green on a max contract.
New York.
That would be a New York thing to do, actually.
New York are always stupid enough to do something like that.
And I mean,
to be fair, I thought the Brunson deal was going to be. I think the Brunson deal was going to be a poo deal, but he's actually come real good.
I have to agree with you on that one. I didn't see. I thought Brunson was going to foil under the fact.
I thought he was a solid player.
I didn't think he would. I thought he was going to struggle without the playmaking of Luka.
But yeah, they're actually going all right this year. The Knicks, all things considered.
Yeah, with all due respect, you can't take away the fact that they're 7th in the East, 25-22. They don't look terrible for once.
But getting back to the Warriors, really, I think they just got to live with the pain the next couple of years, and they have to bite the bullet and be like, look, we're probably not going to win a title with this core anymore. Let's put the time into Kuminga, into Moody, and they've got to figure out something to do with Wiseman. Either move him or play him. Like,
Wiseman,
they're putting that dude.
I do know this.
It's just a waste of time.
They have decided to not put Wiseman in trade talks. They have listed him untouchable. So I mean,
but he's still playing in the G League.
He's not playing. I don't think he's playing in the G League anymore. I think he came back. Oh no, he's back there. Never mind. He's back there. He hasn't played since December 28th. He's definitely
Santa Cruz.
I mean, he came back for a while. I remember it was December 21st. He dropped 30 points. Like his second game back, he dropped 30 points. Which I mean, kind of random, but I mean, it shows that he could do it. I don't know why they're putting him back in the G League. I think he could. I think he'll be fine.
It's his defense, I think.
Obviously, it's not his offense.
It sort of is. Like, I mean, if you watch Kevin Looney play, he does a lot of those dribble handoffs and setting the screens in the right spot.
Well, that's
and Wiseman's always just looks. Yeah, and Wiseman always just looks lost doing that type of stuff because that's not his go. He's like a high pick and roll, then crash the rim guy. More traditional sort of player.
Definitely not the guy who's setting 5 screens for 4 different people just for Stephen Curry to get an open 3-point shot.
But like you can always teach people to do this stuff. And I think they just need to be more patient with him, and they need to sort of give up on their grandeurs of we're going to go back to back this year. It's either you trade your young guys and you go all in for we're going to win a back-to-back title, or you bite the bullet and go, we're probably not going to win the title. Let's get some more minutes into these young guys. Like the Warriors have to choose a direction, really.
Yeah,
If they just keep doing what they've been doing,
you can't be a halfway champion.
Yeah. Well, if they just keep doing what they're doing, they're a 500 team. They'll probably, make the play-in, probably cause an upset in the first round, and then get knocked out like that. I don't see them winning with what they've got.
And I mean, they have great players for the future. They have the Cum Bucket. They have Moody, Wiseman, and Jordan Poole. 4 young guys for the future. I mean, I know Warriors fans are, going insane over Jordan Poole and the fact that they think he's going to be the next, Steph Curry. But I mean, you can't just halfway have it ready for the future. I mean, y'all got to figure this out. And I mean, not saying...
At least Poole's getting a go, though.
Oh, yeah.
Those other 3 guys, are just rotting on the bench, especially Moody.
I don't think Moody even plays.
He's been playing recently because of the injuries, because Steph's been out. But, if they have a full lineup, Moody's not playing unless it's garbage time. They're already 30 points up with 5 minutes to go. Yeah,
I mean, Jordan Poole, he's not been playing bad. He's been, putting up 30 this past month. He's a 21 point per game scorer. Great, definitely going to be 6th man of the year candidate. And I mean, I don't even like the Warriors. I don't want to really admit this, but I mean, Jordan Poole's a good player. I think he could be an all-star, but they got to move Curry out of the way. Because I don't think that Jordan Poole's a good player unless Curry is gone.
Yeah, I think the other thing, though, with Poole, it's like we were saying with Wiseman, it's his defense that's lacking and that really needs to step up. He's basically a witch's hat on defense. I know you don't have to be I'm not saying he has to be, all defense player, but you got to, at least be able to stop somebody.
Very true.
He gets minced by everybody. You want to be an all-star player, you've got to at least compete on the defensive end.
That's for sure. And, not being able to compete there, just a little stupid. You can't be a halfway NBA player. I like saying halfway stuff, but it's true. You can't halfway be playing only offense or only defense. As have been recently shown, players like that are washed out of the league within the next 4 years. Because, I mean, we've had Andre Roberson. He's gone. I mean, Matisse Thybulle's that rare exception. He's, started to get minutes again, but he was almost, not even playing for the Sixers anymore. And those are just defense guys. I mean, just offense. You had, Kemba Walker. He tried. He failed.
I'm not saying, if you only go one way, you're going to be out of the league. But, we're talking about a guy going from, potential 6th man of the year to an all-star player, leading a team. It's not going to happen if literally all you can do is on one end of the floor. You don't even try on the other end. You're not going to be an all-star. You're not going to lead a team.
I mean, obviously, I was going a little exaggeration there. But, yeah, you can't. I mean, that's the reason why Curry's good is the fact that, he's a very underrated defender.
And he's gotten better every year. He started off as, similar boat. You can shoot threes, but, dude, you're getting minced on defense. And he's gotten better and better every year to the point where, still one-on-one, you're still I wouldn't say a liability, but like you've got concerns about him in certain matchups. But he makes up for it with deflections and steals and, clogging the passing lanes. Like, he knows where to be.
He isn't a terrible defender. He's just not like a great defender. He's a solid, good defender that you could rely on to maybe get one stop, but he's not going to stop him every time.
Yeah. He's really just like a team defender, and that's all you want. Like, you don't need your guys to be you don't need your guys to be fucking defensive player of the year candidates or all defense players. You just ask them to be able to play their role.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, playing defense is just like a state of mind. It's not like you've got to be good at anything.
That is true, I mean, Hassan Whiteside tried to prove us wrong there.
That guy was not a good defender ever. He just went for blocks.
That was it. He was stat padding blocks. And I mean, yeah, you could block him, but can you actually, play with the team?
For every block he'd have like 5 screw ups on the defensive end going for a block that would lead to an open layup. Like,
exactly. I mean, that's also why, going back to Orlando, Mo Bamba is like almost out. I mean, not necessarily, as bad as Hassan Whiteside, but I mean, he's been kind of getting pushed out of the Orlando rotation, especially after Wendell Carter showed up. He's better playing that role. Obama's kind of shooting threes and then getting like 2 blocks and calling it a day.
That's a player that should go to the Lakers.
Man, you keep mentioning the players that need to go to the Lakers.
And they're all bums.
That is true.
Well, I'd like to see the Lakers fail for more years. That'd be nice.
Yeah, trade away their 2 picks and pick up 2 guys that are really questionable.
Yeah, that'd be a good deal. Trade Westbrook and the 2 firsts for Bamba and Fultz and Isaac. That'd be a good one.
Oh, yeah. We would love to see that one happen.
I would.
I bet. I mean, I don't think anyone really wants to take on Westbrook even in the first place, even with the 2 first-rounders.
Doesn't matter how much I watch that guy, man. He's just... I don't understand how he was like a MVP. People were like... They were just
looking at the triple-doubles.
In love with the numbers.
Yeah, triple-doubles. He wasn't that impressive, in my opinion. I mean, he wasn't a great 3-point shooter. He just had dunks and stat padding.
I've never really rated Russ as a player. That's why these last few years where everyone's like, oh, shoot, maybe he's not that good. I've just been laughing the whole time. Like, now I've been saying this the whole time I've watched this guy. Like, now you agree with me?
I mean, he was definitely one of those guys that was like, how is he an MVP winner again? And I mean, even in his MVP season, I mean, I wasn't even that big into basketball. I was like, who is this guy, bro? Like, we're really giving the MVP award out to numbers, even though I'm a huge numbers guy. I mean, I like my numbers, but I mean, I know that the dude who is, dropping triple-doubles every game isn't necessarily the best player on the court. Because if that was the case, yeah, Russell Westbrook would be, like, the greatest player of all time. Yeah, he's good, but, like, there's better players out there.
I don't know. Numbers are, like, half of the battle. I'd say, like, the way I look at basketball is numbers make up, like, 30% of my thinking. I'm an eye test man.
I mean,
what I see is what I think.
I mean, that's a valid way to think. I mean, the player has to look good to actually, be good. He's got to know what he's doing.
Sometimes I'll watch a game, and then I'll look at the box score afterwards. I'll be like, damn, that guy had 30? Like, I didn't see him at all. Like, that was the quietest 30 I've ever seen. And then you see on, like, Facebook or whatever, the NBA posts those feeds like, yeah, buddy, Jalen Williams went off for 37 points and 6 rebounds. It's like, damn, man, I thought he played like shit. Okay.
And I mean, surprisingly enough, I feel like a lot of 30 is a lot more common of a number for like random people to be hitting now. I don't think there was that many players, back 2000s or even later that were dropping 30 points. It was like your main guys were doing that.
Well, I think I seen something the other day. Is like this was probably 3 or 4 days ago. They were saying that like so far this season, and it's only just gone past the halfway point. There's been 90 something, like 92, I think they said, 40 plus games this season.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. There's this game has definitely turned into a lot more skill, and I mean 3-pointers are a huge thing. And I mean, if you just keep if a guy's on a hot streak, he's hitting 7, 8 3-pointers in a game, that's gonna rack you up almost 30 points just right there alone. And I mean, no one's just shooting 8 threes. So I mean, yeah, there's gonna be a lot more 40-point games, and I mean, a lot more random people like going back to Sadiq Bey, and a bunch of other random guys this season. I mean, the last time we really heard about these random 40-point games, it was like 2015 range, where it was like Corey Brewer and then Jamal Crawford on his last NBA year. It was like, that was our random 40, 50-point game. Now it's like almost every week you have a new one.
So I don't even think it's even like the 3-point. Like that has a little bit to do with it. I think it's the speed of the game now. Like teams are just having so many more possessions. Like teams don't want to play in the half court anymore. Like you see it like even from like a made basket, teams will like inbound to a dude that's already sprinting up the floor. Like
it's
get into their sets within like 4 or 5 seconds. Like
it's the 7-second offense. That's become a lot more popular within the past, since James Harden. James Harden averaged 40, and now the 7-second offense is a huge thing. Everyone wants to do that when they're growing up, and all these newer guys, are like, yeah, I want to just drop 40 every game. I mean, 7-second offense, yeah, it's exciting to watch too. So I mean, they're not going to do anything to stop it. So I mean, running plays that take up the whole 30-second shot clock isn't necessarily the move anymore.
yeah, I don't mind it. Like I'm not saying it's a negative thing, but it's yeah,
just different, especially for people who are as ancient as Skippy.
Hey, I miss my old 2000s games from time to time. Those Pistons teams, man, they were the boringest team to watch, but God, it took a lot of skill to beat them.
They were good, and I mean, it's another thing. That era was like, yeah, they weren't necessarily most exciting. I mean, you have even the game we're watching here. John Stockton, who was like a 6-foot tall white guy. He's not necessarily the most exciting player. He's not dunking at everyone. He wasn't a great 3-point shooter because 3-point shooting wasn't popular then. He was a great passer.
If he played in the modern game,
steal.
If he played in the modern game, just like Steve Nash, they would just be unbeatable.
I mean, yeah, but still, it's like he wasn't exciting. It's not like there wasn't any exciting players. It's just like now we have the 3D and people who just dunk on everybody. That's our basketball program. The mid-range shot is gone. Well, not necessarily all gone.
I miss that from time to time. That's why I like watching KD. Like, I don't really like KD, but I like watching him sometimes. Just all those mid-range shots. It's like, yeah, that's how you do it.
DeMar's a good example.
And he's like a dinosaur. Like, you're telling me no team wanted to trade for him? It's like, nah, man, he doesn't do anything.
Definitely a lot of things there. And I mean, let's see what other things we have on that list of ours. We hit about everything. Except there is one thing here is record predictions and all. who do we think is gonna be, the top guy this year? I know you were talking about the Nuggets like not that long ago.
Well, before the season started, I had the Nuggets number one in the West, and I had in the East. I think I had the Bucks,
I mean,
which I know isn't that much of a jump, but I was like, I'm taking a leap on the Nuggets, so I'll play it safe in the East.
you're not very much wrong either. Nuggets are in fact on top, 32-13. Grizzlies only one game behind there. And then the East, Bucks are 5 games behind the Celtics. The Celtics have
Yeah, the Celtics.
been great this year. It's a rare thing because usually I'm used to watching the Celtics games, and Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown just can't get it started at the beginning of the year. They'll like be under 500 or right at 500 for like the good chunk of the beginning of the season. So to see them, not necessarily have that problem to start off the season, a huge change, and they're doing great still.
Honestly, like I would have had the Celtics as my number one pick until that stuff about Udoka came out, and I was like, nah, man, there's going to be too much like turmoil for them. Like at the start of the season, like I think they'll start off badly, and like they'll have to build into the season like they did last year. And the way they've played, it's made no difference. They've been like better this year than they were last year.
It's very true.
Which has really surprised me, and especially considering that Robert Williams missed so much time at the start of the year. Like, they're definitely the team to beat the Celtics.
They're very deep. Al Horford hasn't been showing that he's getting that old. He's still great. He's not necessarily as lively, but he's a good 3-point shooter. He's playing
Was he ever lively?
Pretty good defense. There's not much.
Even when Horford was in his prime playing with the Hawks, it was still like he looked like a robot.
That is true, but that's just him. But he's looking more like it now. And Robert Williams, Al Horford, Derek White, and Malcolm Brogdon.
Brogdon was such a good pickup.
Brogdon was a huge pickup. I don't even know how they managed to fit him into that. But that's definitely not something I don't think the Boston will regret. Pacers, maybe. But Boston, for sure, will love that.
But it comes back to it. Like, I don't think Brogdon fit their timeline. And you got to remember, Brogdon's been injured, like, so many years. Like, he was playing, like, 40, 50 games in his good years.
That's because he was also the guy, pretty much. Except for Oladipo.
So, yeah, I've liked him with the Celtics, but yeah, as I said, I didn't see them being this good. But like, I'll stand by it. I said it last year, and I'll stand by it. I think the Bucks beat them in a 7-game playoff series. Like, and I think if Middleton wasn't injured last year, that they wouldn't have made the finals. So I'll stand by that till the.
I'm personally taking the Celtics over the Bucks. That's just me personally. I think, they've had another year to develop, and now they have Malcolm Brogdon. Yeah, they're so much deeper. They're so much more of a threat than they were. So I'm taking, Boston as the team to be in the East. And even though the Cavs are really up and coming, I think the Cavs are going to be the problem next year. I think this year will be an experience year. And then they're going to be jumping up. I think Nets are going to fall off. I think the Sixers are going to be falling off. Bucks are probably going to be falling off within this next year. The biggest question mark is going to be how well Brook Lopez, contains himself. Because, he's been doing really well. He's looking like a DPOY candidate this year. He looks like he might, win the DPOY, like I just said. It's pretty great defense.
I had Jared Allen for my defensive player at the start of the year. That's who I picked.
I don't think anyone had Brook Lopez. If you did, you were a Bucks fan.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't pick Jared Allen. I think Evan Mobley's the better defender of the two. I think I think Jared Allen's more focused on like the rebounding section and the more of the offensive player. Not necessarily, but definitely the
He's
better
still the big
rebounder.
guy though. You get past Mobley on the perimeter. Like Allen's, you still got to beat Allen at the rim. Like
You do, but I
I don't
think
know.
Mobley's not even that good of a 3-point shooter yet. He might develop more, but he's not. He's not that guy at the moment. And I mean, a few other teams that are gonna be questionable. I mean, now we can look into the West and all. I think general agreement is gonna be that Celtics team is gonna be hard to beat in the East, but I mean, Bucks are too. And I mean, in the West, I think things are more up in the air than the East. I think it could go anywhere.
Yeah, like even though like we get back to the Warriors, like all it takes is for them to put it together for a month. You know,
Yeah,
all you got to do is get there.
and I mean, even
Like,
though we have seen the problems with Luka Doncic and the Mavericks, to where if Luka isn't scoring at least 25, the Mavericks will not win the basketball game. I mean, the Mavericks are still a great team to watch, and they're going to be hard to beat, especially making the conference finals last year. I think even with Luka not having almost any help at all, they're still going to be a hard team to beat. They could make a finals run. Pelicans, if they actually figure out their injury issue, that could be an issue.
as
With
long
all
as it's
due
not the
respect,
Grizzlies.
your Kings team, I don't think they're going to do much.
No, I'd agree with that. I would just be happy to be there, break the drought.
Break the 25-year streak or whatever it is.
16, thank you very much.
I had to make sure to exaggerate it.
We're the best.
Yeah, then you'll be putting Hornets on the spot for making the playoffs.
We'll we might get through the first round.
Oh. Not if you're versing the Warriors round one.
We're better than the Warriors. What are you talking about?
If you're
We're the
versing
best team in
Utah,
California right now.
if you're versing Utah, I'll give it to you. If you're versing the Timberwolves, I'm giving it to you. If you're versing Thunder, the Suns, the Lakers, I'm giving it to you. The teams that are going to be challenging to you is probably the Warriors and a healthy Clippers will probably knock you out round one. But any other team, yeah, I bet you guys can probably make round two. At least I'd hope so.
As I said, I'll just be happy if we're there.
Yeah.
I mean, at the start of the year, and like I'm a Kings fan, so I was really optimistic. I was like, yeah, we'll finish 9th or 10th. We'll be in the play-in.
I predicted
So, like,
Utah being a play-in team. It doesn't look like I'm the
So
crazy one.
if we finish top 6, like I'm like, come on my dax. Like, pretty damn happy.
Yeah. I mean,
But,
things with DeMontis working.
we'll see.
One of the only win-win trades of NBA history was that DeMontis Sabonis for Tyrese Halliburton.
Depends who you ask.
That is true.
A lot of people still saying, "Oh, why would you trade away Halliburton?" It's like, have you not seen us playing right now?
Most people haven't really watched Kings basketball. It's working there.
It's fun to watch. We're the number 1 offense in the league, man. We're a good team to watch.
It's not bad. I do have to admit, I've watched a few Kings games, which is surprising to say. And I mean, it's not a bad thing to watch. I don't think they're going to be huge finals threat, but I mean, I can enjoy it. I think, but going back to our main point we're trying to make here, who's going to win the finals in the West? I don't know.
I think Denver's probably the safest pick that I'm going to go with.
The problem is with Denver is the fact that most of their team hasn't really played in a playoff game since like 2020. Michael Porter's been dead.
Yeah,
Jamal
but
Murray's
look at
been
what they
dead.
did last time they were there. They're in the
That is
the
true, and
Western
they
Conference
had
Finals.
no experience too. And I mean, they have 1 year's experience now. I mean, this Grizzlies team isn't
You
much
can't bet
more
against the joke.
experience either. But I think it could.
I just don't like this. We've touched on this before, but yeah, I don't want to see them.
I don't think. Yeah, I don't think the Grizzlies are necessarily gonna be the team to beat. I don't believe that. I think it's gonna be a huge upset in the West that is gonna be putting Denver on their toes. I'm
But
not sure which team it's
the
gonna be
West,
yet. It could be the Mavericks. It could be, the Pelicans. Hell, it could even be the Clippers or the Warriors.
mm,
But I'm not too sure. It could be anybody.
you never even know. Like the Lakers somehow sneak into the play-in. Like it'd be tough to bet against LeBron and save AD's healthy. Like in a playoff series.
I mean, yeah, that could go somewhere. I don't think they're gonna go that far because they don't have any help after that.
Yeah,
Patrick
but
Beverly's gonna
you
have
see
to
with the
carry them
playoffs when
to
they
the play-in.
you see with like the playoffs though when they shorten rotations and shit. Like you only need like guys to be hot for a couple of games and you've won the series.
That is true. I don't think the Lakers are gonna be no finals threat. But that's all I have to say on that. And I think it's not going to be necessarily one of these young teams that are going to be in the finals. I think the Nuggets are probably more qualified than most of these young teams, but I think the West could be an upset or it's the Nuggets. That's all I have to say. I don't think it's going to be any of these top 5 teams if it's not the Nuggets.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to watch at the very least. Yeah, the East is you got a couple of teams to choose from, but
West, it's open. I mean, it was the Warriors last year, or the past few years, more like, and then I don't even know who was in the West before the Warriors were. I couldn't answer that. It's up in the air. And it's going to be exciting to watch in the West. I think everyone should be keeping an eye out if you're a basketball fan, keeping an eye out on this play-in form because it's a 5-game difference between the 6th seed and the 13th seed. I mean, that's a high lottery pick or, a guaranteed playoff spot just by winning 5 more games.
there's so much talent like outside of the playing spots at the moment. Like
I mean, we all knew
we just
about
talked about
LeBron
LeBron
sucking,
and AD.
but
But like Dame, I'm pretty sure that Portland's like 12th or something at the moment. Like
Portland is 12th, yeah.
yeah, like that team's not a bunch of bums. Like there's some genuine talent on that team.
And you know what? One random spot here because Trailblazers are talented. The Suns are pretty talented, but what about DeAndre Ayton, who he's been pretty bad this remainder of the season so far.
I mean, is that so much of a surprise though?
It isn't, but I mean,
You got a guy that like
he's
didn't want to
really
be
starting to get heat towards him now.
Comes back to that conversation before. I would have taken Luka #1 in that draft class without a doubt. And that's like before he was playing in the NBA. That year of that draft, I was like, why are they talking about this Ayton guy? Like Luka should be #1. But shows what I know.
I think I'm not even sure, like all of NBA wise. Personally, when I was thinking, I was like, I don't know why Luka was picked that early. I thought, Trae Young was the better player. I thought DeAndre Ayton was the better player. I mean, the only reason I had skepticism was the fact that, we weren't really watching European games from the US. I mean, I'm not sure about Australia and how often you guys watch the Europe basketball games. Probably not a whole lot, I
Yeah,
assume.
we get EuroLeague. I watched some of the games. Only of
I mean,
Mirotic.
exactly. Like
Remember that? He was MVP last year.
that's a vibe, actually. But I mean, like
Love that guy.
Luca was, I think he was like in the MVP race. Didn't he like win a championship and like he was 17?
Yeah, like he's been playing. He was playing with the Real Madrid
That
senior
which
team
is like
since
the
like
best
15 and a
team.
half.
That's like the best team in
Yeah,
Europe. For the
arguably
people
one
who
of the
don't
best
know.
teams. Yeah,
And
and
it
he was
took
doing it since he was like 15 and a half. Like, so he's been playing against grown men.
yeah, like 28, 29, 30-year olds in their European prime. These guys aren't bad either. It's a huge different rule set there too, which is reason why Rudy Gobert is so good in uh, for the France basketball team is because he could sit in the paint. There's no violation for sitting in the paint. Stuff like that. Luca had to, build that outside range, be a threat from both the mid range and the 3-point line because Rudy Gobert is sitting in the paint. So I mean,
But yeah, like it is a different game. But like the way I always saw it was like he's putting up these numbers as a kid playing against grown men. Like he should be able to just fucking that should just translate straight to the NBA. Like, yeah, he's not as athletic, but he's a pretty smart player. Like,
and
so he'll figure it
we
out.
do know
And
that
he did.
smart players, high IQ players, 9 times out of 10 are either a superstar or b like a solid sixth man for many many years.
I mean, because athleticism like can only get you so far.
Especially once you're like 34 years old. And you ain't necessarily going to be dunking on everybody anymore. You're trying to stay in the league at that point. It's
But also, like in that draft class, like Aiton and Bagley, who were taken before him, like they're outdated players. Like Aiton can't stretch the floor.
nope.
And he's supposed to be this defensive anchor, but he's not really. Like
He's not even
it's
the
not
best
like he's
defender on his team.
yeah.
It's literally
So like,
Mikal Bridges.
and then you've got like Bagley, we've already talked about. Like he doesn't offer anything, so I don't understand why he was picked too.
That's because of the fact that, he was a really good offensive player.
So really, like when I'm looking back at that draft class, it was between Trey and Luca. Like Trey was too small for me. Like
Trey is a very
and
small guy.
it's sort of showing like in his NBA career, like he's all offense, no defense, and when his offense comes off the bubble, like he's just a complete liability.
Yeah, I mean,
And
the jokes
he's
were a
only
while
become a
ago.
more selfish player since he's had some success.
And I mean, one of the biggest, memes about the fact that Trey Young was playing was the fact that he was like literally the worst rated defensive player in the NBA by like a long shot. I mean, he's not that good of a defender, but yeah, he's putting up 27 points a game or whatever it is. And like 8 assists. I mean, one of those rare exceptions where offense does save him.
But it doesn't even really. I mean, they had that one year where they made the conference finals a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
But besides that, this Atlanta team's done nothing. Like you look at them right now, like they made that massive trade for Murray, and Murray was supposed to be their saving grace. Like, yeah, we'll cover for Trey's deficiencies on defense, getting him another guard. Like, it's not working at all in Atlanta right now.
It really isn't. And I mean, it's one of those things that, that's why Atlanta has like everybody on the trade block. Things aren't working out as well. And I mean, a lot of people were saying that, that Luca Trey Young thing was a win-win trade. Now they're all going back to it and like changing their minds. Because they, everyone's realized Trey is a defensive liability. Luca is literally like the best player of all time at this point. And I mean, it's going to be hard. I mean, not as hard as the fact that Marvin Bagley and DeAndre Ayton were picked over Luka Doncic, but it's gonna be one of those things where it's like, what if? And good thing that Mavs got Luka.
Yeah, now they just need to actually add somebody around him. Otherwise, they're just wasting him.
Yeah, I mean, Jalen Brunson, Kristaps Porzingis were both there. Imagine if you kept both of them.
That was never going to work.
Mainly Kristaps, but Jalen Brunson would have worked.
Yeah, Jalen would have worked, but yeah, that's what I meant. Kristaps was never going to work.
Kristaps was trying to be the number one guy, and he was.
I thought Wood was going to be better.
That is true. I was thinking Wood was a lot better of a player.
I think the rumors around the league with the Christian Wood thing have sort of come to fruition. They were like, this guy's a loser. Like, he's not a winning basketball player. And, like, we're seeing it with Dallas. Like, he's putting up good numbers, and they're still just
losing.
Like a 500 team.
Yeah, they're like, because, I mean, the Mavericks, with, I think, Luka out, it's like they always lose. I don't think they've won a game with Luka out. Or Luka scoring under 25.
And even if I think I've seen a stat like
30
he doesn't
stuff.
It's like if Luka doesn't score 25 points, they're like 3-25 or something on the season.
Yeah.
Maybe not that many because they've lost that many, but it's like they've only had 3 wins. I know that's a definite. Might be like 3-18 maybe.
Exactly, and I mean Christian Wood. I mean, I'm not sure how many games, like what his game scorings are for like games that Luka is out. But I mean, it doesn't even matter because I mean he could be dropping 30 points and 5 blocks, and it's not doing anything. Really comes down to how good is Spencer Dinwiddie playing, or how good is Reggie Bullock playing. Things like that.
Yeah, which I don't think you're ever going to see names like that on the championship, unfortunately for Dallas fans.
So I mean, you got to get Luka some help. You need to do something to show that you're keeping interest. I mean, literally anybody at this point. I know Bojan's on the trade list. Jonathan Isaac would at least be a good pickup. Just somebody. You need help.
I think they honestly need somebody they need like a Bradley Beal. I don't know how they'd make that trade, but like they need somebody that can play second fiddle to Luka, but also run the offense and be the man when Luka's out. Like,
that's so true. And I mean, I think that's what they were trying to get at with Spencer Dinwiddie was the fact that he's a good playmaker and all, but he hasn't really done much. I mean, he showed on the Brooklyn that he was a pretty solid playmaker. The dude put up like 2 points and like 8 assists off the bench. Which, I mean, that was his entire stat line too. But, it's one of those things where it's like, I don't know what happened there. I know that they probably were imagining things to go a little bit differently, but that's not the case.
Yeah, I'm not sure. What all I know is, they got to do something. This team around Luka's not really going to go anywhere.
That is for sure. Anything else we should? I'm not sure what else we have to talk about.
Well, I think we've sort of really covered everything that we were looking at.
Definitely.
How's that game going?
What?
How's our Utah Spurs game going?
That game ended. Spurs won by 1 point. It was like 39-38. It was actually pretty interesting, but I moved on to a different game of a random, I think it was like 97-98 Cleveland versus like that San Antonio team. Currently pretty much tied as well. And I mean, Karl Malone dropped like 20 and 10 again, but the Admiral also put up like the same number, matched him on it. So, in conclusion, I think we are done. And I mean, I'm very excited. I think the number one thing all of us should be looking forward to, not necessarily the All Star break, but that this Western Conference and how that's going to pan out because we're halfway through that season, or over halfway now. But how is it going to look? And 20 more games are added on. Are we going to be seeing at the trade deadline? Teams like Phoenix and the Lakers, making a move to not, maybe not acquire someone, but fall down so they could get a better pick. What's going to be happening? Because you can't have a 13-person playoff. That's not how we design things. And
that would be pretty cool, though.
It would be pretty interesting. But, it's one of those things where it's like, we can't have that many there. We need to figure out who is going to be 1 through, not necessarily 1, but like 5 through 10. We need to find that out. And those younger teams, I don't know if they necessarily want to take another hit. I mean, I think the Thunder are ready to compete. I think, they're interested in making a play-in at least this year. So, I mean, a team like Portland might get bumped out. Now might be the time to, start working on the future.
Yeah, if I was Portland, I'd be seriously considering any Dame Lillard trades.
I mean, and that was in the Heat not that long ago, like only a season or two ago, was Damian Lillard Lakers talks instead of Russell Westbrook. And I mean, it didn't obviously pan through, but I mean, it's one of those things now where that might actually be a serious offer.
Yeah, we'll see. As you said, it'll be interesting. Keep your eye on it, and maybe not right at this moment, but within the next month or so, it's definitely going to get interesting, especially as these teams are jockeying for playoff position, not just the 5 through 10, but even all the way up to 3. Like, I love my Kings, but I don't think we're going to stick there. Once these experienced teams sort of get their act together, there's nothing stopping them running back up the standings.
And I mean, younger teams like Utah, who are probably not supposed to be in the 7th seed at this point in time, is Utah going to be falling out? Or are they going to start trading away people to, get rid of Mike Conley and maybe take on another draft pick or something like that? All these teams with, that one piece, that older veteran piece that some other team might need to, move up a few spots, that should be happening at some point in time. And it's been very dry on the trading. And I mean, it was like, 2019, I'd like to say, or 2018. It was like trading was going crazy those years. And now it's 2023, trades aren't happening. We've had like one trade, and those were just a wave to people. I mean, that doesn't even really count. I mean, yeah,
I blame Utah and Danny.
Yeah. Utah and the Thunder have ruined the value of first-round picks, and now people are valuing it so high. And I mean,
I think though as well, if you have a look at like the trends of the last few years, like no deals have really been getting done until it comes down to like the last few days.
That is true. There's a lot of deals that do happen around those times, but there's also the random deal that shows up like 2 months beforehand. I mean,
yeah,
it could be not necessarily like these double wave things, but I mean, we're talking like, that random guy who's been struggling, like a Rui Hachimura, for like a bomb that hasn't even touched the floor since like 5 years ago.
Yeah, swapping like bench fodder, like I'll swap your Alex Len for like Georgie Jeng in a second rounder or something.
Exactly. Something not necessarily controversial or, that big of a move. It's just someone who's struggling on their current team. They're looking to get a new team, move on, take a second shot, get some fresh air. At least give us a move or two like that. And I mean, another thing I've been thinking of recently was, what is Keldon Johnson's situation going to be looking like? I mean, he's kind of young still, but do the Spurs maybe want to take a shot at getting rid of him too? Because I mean, small forward two ways like that are very high on the trade block.
Nah, I think he's one of the ones that they're going to build around. I think they like him. They like Vassell. They like Trey Jones.
But I mean,
anyone from Spurs, if they're going to trade him, yeah, you're looking at Pirtle. You're looking at Josh Richardson.
Yeah. I know Pirtle's been hot on the trade block. A lot of teams have been looking at him. So, I mean, we're going to see how things pan out.
Just hoping for some movement.
Yeah, trade. It's either it's going to be one trade that might happen, or it's going to be 30 of them all at once. Once one falls, though, I feel like there's going to be more to come. Once we start valuing things correctly. Like John Collins is not going to be, you're not getting an all-star for John Collins. You're going to be getting, two okay players. So we'll see how things go. And hopefully for you guys on the next one, hopefully we'll have Tank around. Hopefully.
Yeah, once again, if you've heard from him, let us know.
I mean, he did show up 2 days ago, I think.
I don't know. I can't talk. I'm invisible on Discord as well.
Yeah, y'all need to start coming back alive. It'd be nice.
Doesn't help that you send messages at 4 a.m. to me. Hey, you going to be available today? Yeah, I'll let you know once I'm woken up.
It's my 2 p.m., man. It's just convenient for me.
Yeah. It's all good. I got back to you eventually.
Exactly.
I'm here.
I know you check your messages. It's more targeted towards the Tank. Well, anyways, just so you do know, Cleveland is absolutely blowing the crap out of... actually, pause on that one for a second. Cleveland is destroying San Antonio. It's 10-point lead for Cleveland right now.
Oh, I thought you were going to say 30 or something, the way you was talking.
I mean...
Kings are up by 5.
It's the third quarter. And it's 6-minute quarters. 10 points is the equivalent of 25.
Oh, I thought you were talking about real life.
Nah.
My bad.
Our 2K game. Actual games. True. I would love to talk about I would love to in the future if our podcast works out to maybe have a live coverage. If we ever get sponsored by ESPN, I'd love to comment on the Bucks game and talk about how garbage somebody is.
Grayson Allen is a bum.
That is actually one of by far the most hated guys. I mean, that's been starting since Utah. Utah picked that man. I didn't even like him. Dude was trying to compete with Donovan Mitchell in a dunk contest in warm-ups. Bruh.
It's how I felt about Jimmer Fredette.
The god of China.
Why did we pick this guy? We can do a whole episode on Kings draft picks, though. Don't get me started.
Oh, yeah. We
Nick
definitely...
anybody?
If we have time, I think we should definitely do a segment of certain teams just covering a team. their history and all. We're gonna have to ask, our fan base once we get a bigger one on what we should do a little more of. But I think that'll be it. I had a blast, and I know poor Skippy here probably had a blast too.
Yeah, I'm still alive.
But yeah, everyone, thanks for tuning in. The 2 people who showed up. And, I'm going to be actually making a 15-minute segment, kind of a summary of the stream. So we'll see if how many people tune into the live compared to the 15-minute one. It'll probably be a few videos, actually, but maybe I'll get around to making TikTok videos. Oh, God. And eventually, at some point in time, whenever I can get Skippy and the Tank to also give me some Instagrams, we're going to be dropping Instagrams for y'all, so y'all could follow whatever the hell you want on the...
Got my wrestling Instagram. You can follow that if you want.
You follow Skippy's wrestling career. He's like Andrew Tate, but not Andrew Tate, and probably worse. No offense to you, of course.
I don't know who that is, but sure.
I'll surprise you.
Like, who the hell is Zendaya?
That's going to be a conversation for another time. But